Welcome back into Exit 99 Sports. As always, my name is Caleb Deloach, and, well, today we're going to talk about a little bit of basketball that's wrapping up rapidly around Southeast Missouri. We only have one team in, my little coverage area here, the Jackson girls basketball team, still active, but, I'll shout out all the other basketball kind of going on. Any teams from Southeast Missouri that did play this past week, and talk about kind of what's coming up, and then, mainly focus a lot of my attention, though, on the Jackson girls as far as really breaking things down. And then at the end of the show, I'm going to go ahead and look at some spring sports because, fun fact, even though basketball is still going on at the highest level, there's the state championships. We're starting some spring sports this weekend. So this Friday, Saturday, we're going to be jumping into, baseball, etc. So I'll look ahead. That part of it might be a little disconjointed, but we'll get there. We'll go team by team here between Cape Jackson, Notre Dame, Saxony, and hit what all they have coming up the back half this week. So let's just jump right in. We will start this past week. Boys basketball, Class 5 quarterfinals. Sykeston got over the hump, got back to the Final Four for the first time, I believe, since 2017-2018 season, which, when I realized that, I was genuinely surprised. They beat Vianney 62-60 was the final there. I was really surprised at the drought that they've had, since we've gone to 6 classes in basketball. It's made things a little bit tougher, right? They got, they've had Vianney this year, who they got, they beat. They played Webster Groves, very good. They played Vianney the year before that again, who had a significantly better team than this year's team. And, it's been tough, understandably, for them to get through. They've had a couple losses in district time, getting beat by maybe a Cape Central. They had an undefeated season that ended at the hands of Cape Central. So, you look, the record is undeniable, right? 17-18, they got 4th place in state. They went 27-4. After that, there was not a lot of fall off. They won 5 district titles, but getting over that hump, like I said, a little bit tough. They've won 25 games, 16, 12-9 in the shorter season, 17 games, 22, 28, 26, 28. So, there's been no lack of success. They've been the best team in Southeast Missouri almost pretty much unequivocally during this little run here, especially the last 3 years. But they finally got over the hump, beat Vianney. So that's very cool to see. We'll take a look at what they do have coming up here in a minute. But it was a great game, very, very fun game. Shout out to Sean Cole Jr. Knocked down the game-winning 3. It's a good possession. I think he got the steal on the other end. Vianney had it with a lead. And then they were leading by 2, they were leading by 1. They had the ball. Cole got the steal. Sykeston moves it around. Ben James drive, kick out. Sean Cole open from the left corner, splash, put them ahead. Then Vianney had it the last 30 seconds or so maybe 40 seconds or so of the ball game. Just unable to get a good shot. They moved it around for a while, took a timeout with 10 seconds. They got a decent look. They took a 3. They went for the win and couldn't get it done. So shout out to Sykeston. Shout out to Jaharis Goodwin inside. Put up some nice buckets over the 7'1" kid that Vianney has. So shout out to Sykeston. They are moving on. Drop down to Class 4. You had Dexter. Since I last talked to you, Dexter played twice. They played Potosi in sectionals. Absolutely murdered Potosi. 74-39. Sepulvedo, Nichols, Ibrahim all played really, really well. Sepulvedo had 23. Kyle Nichols, the freshman, 19. It was just a lopsided game. There was some revenge in their hearts. I'm sure that's Potosi who knocked them off last season in sectionals. And then a lot of these kids, Geatley, Turnbow, etc., also had to face this Potosi team in football, and beat them in the postseason there as well. So, big win for Dexter, punching their ticket to the quarterfinals. Not something you do a lot of, right? It's tough to get there. They play usually in a pretty good district in the area, and so it's really cool to see them kind of punctuate this really good season, this good group they have. And then they went to the quarterfinals, played a really good Clayton team. This was the Clayton team I was discussing with somebody else going into the postseason. You know, you look at the bracket, who's coming in, who's making the Final Four in Class 4. I thought unequivocally Clayton was the favorite up there. They were the best team, and they played like it. They ended up blowing out Dexter 77-54. It was a close game at halftime. Clayton made some good changes to make things really, really tough for Dexter. Clayton with a little bit of a size, athleticism advantage, and took advantage of it, and pulled away with the big win. So that knocks out anybody from around here in Class 4. I'll mention the matchups here shortly as well. But congrats to Dexter, man. Great season. Coach Allen just continues to show he's a very good coach. Can always put his team in a position to win. This group is really, really good. They're going to be losing some people, namely John Sepulvedo. I mean, the kid is just really talented player. He's got kind of what you want in a lead guard. He's got a big height advantage usually with people guarding him. He's got great length. He knows the game well. He can hit shots from all three levels. He defends. So he's going to be moving on. I know Turnbow's going to be moving on. Carter Stone, big time compliments there to Sepulvedo. But they've got a lot coming back, especially in the freshman Kyle Nichols, Coach Nichols' son over there. I think he's going to be the real deal. Not to mention you got Elijah Ibrahim coming back. I mean, he's one of the best post players in all of Southeast Missouri. They might. I want to say, Will Geatley's back, a great shooter. They could take a step back. I think Sepulvedo means a lot to that team, but they've got really good pieces coming back, and I think Dexter's going to be competitive again next season. In Class 3, Woodland had gotten knocked out. I believe I mentioned that the last show to Miller Career. So in Class 2, we did have a representative make it to the Final Four. That was Hayti. Hayti, the Indians down there, they pulled off what a lot of people consider to be a big upset, beating Puxico at Dexter a couple rounds before this. Man, I think Hayti really blew a lot of people away. They impressed people greatly. The win over Puxico and just the way they played here in this postseason. They were a weird case study in the fact that almost all regular season they were injured. They always had some important member of the rotation or a couple of them out with injuries. There was a couple times where the stars would align, everybody's healthy, and then they just put up a huge performance, blow somebody out, and then immediately it's like, this kid's got an ankle, this kid's got a hand or wrist or whatever it is. So, the stars aligned here in the postseason. Everybody was healthy this postseason. Going into it, they played tough game after tough game. They beat a very good South Pim team in districts. They, then had to play a lot of people's darling in Southeast Missouri, Puxico, beat them. They beat an East Carter team that was ripe for upsets, and they punched their ticket to the Final Four. They played Penny. Penny's not a team I knew a ton about. I knew they have a kid who's a very good football player going to Northwestern, who is a big cog in their machine in basketball. I knew they had a kid a long time ago that had the rushing record in the state of Missouri. That's the only fun fact about Penny I have. And then they're from a gazillion miles away in Northwest Missouri. So Hayti takes on Penny. That big kid for Penny put up 30 of their 48 points, but unfortunately for Penny, Hayti scored 75. Hayti was just turning them over left and right. They were just getting easy bucket after easy bucket. They just have options all over the floor. And then, that set up a date with a very, very, very good Eugene team. Eugene, the reigning state champs in Class 2. They had won last year by double digits over Canton, and then they were able to do the same again here this year. They beat Hayti 71-56. It was a good game. Eugene was just better. I mean, Hayti is a defensive-oriented team, and Eugene just felt like they could get whatever they wanted offensively. They had what looked like on the screen a significant size advantage. I don't know how significant it was maybe on the court, but it just felt like everybody on the court was bigger than any kid from Hayti. I know they had a 6'8" kid. They had all their guards were 6'2" plus, so they exploited some mismatches they had size-wise, but they were just so efficient offensively. Everything was just a good look. It felt like they were just hitting everything they took. That Wonderlick kid had 26 points. I mean, as a team, they shot 61% as a team for the game. It was just beautiful basketball for Eugene, and unfortunately that is where the dream ends for Hayti. That brings in the total to what? 4 state runner-ups here in Southeast Missouri to this point, time of recording. The class 1, 2, 3 girls, what was that? Delta, Portageville, St. Vincent, and over on the boys' side, Hayti. All of them coming up runners up, but man, another really, really good year. Hayti, like I said, proved some people wrong. Everybody anointed Puxico all season, myself included, to be kind of our representative from the area to be in the Final Four. And Hayti kind of turned it on its head. I mean, they play great defense. They have a fun team. LaDon Webb is a super talented kid. Javante Payne was so much fun to watch in this postseason. Nobody could guard him. Nikolai Combat. I mean, the Combat kid was so good, especially in the Puxico game. He was phenomenal. A lot of guys stepped up. Isaiah Love played well. Dwayne Grant hit some big shots in the postseason. Dunn Taylor played really, really well. It was a fun team to watch. J.C. Ford played well at times. They were a lot of fun. They made big plays. They hit some big shots. And, they're going to be back next year. They're going to bring in some bodies back that are going to make a difference. I think Javante Payne graduates, but they're bringing back a pretty healthy core of this team. Class 2 will be a dogfight again, assuming everybody's still there. You'll still have Hayti. You'll still have a Charleston team that brings a lot of people back. You'll have a Bernie team that brings everybody back. So I'll be interested to see what happens in Class 2 this next year. It should be, once again, maybe one of the most fun local classes to keep an eye on here. So that is pretty much it for the boys as far as what we've already seen happen. Flipping over to the girls, I will start low to high here. So Class 1, it was Delta, like I mentioned. They are runners-up. They beat Rockport. I mean, Delta played a gauntlet, okay? They lost in a championship game, 68-64 to St. Elizabeth. Neither team had won a state title. St. Elizabeth took a big lead. Delta, as you expect, man, clawed their way all the way back into the game, lost close. A great, great game. It was a ton of fun to watch. This team was so much fun to watch. They've been fun to watch year after year after year. Every iteration just brings something new and entertaining to the table. Grace Ansell will be moving on. But this postseason was the emergence of Lily McDonough, man. She is the real deal freshman guard. Led them in scoring throughout the postseason. Unbelievable. Just shot maker, shot creator, good defender, great, help defender. Ton of fun. They bring back Nanny is back next season. They'll have a great, great guard duo in Nanny and McDonough. So I don't expect them to really go anywhere. But like I said, they played a gauntlet. They played, Bunker, Chadwick, Walnut Grove, Rockport, and St. Elizabeth. They played darn near everybody in the top 5 of the class, excluding themselves. So what a run for Delta. It sucks. They lose close there in the championship, and I believe it's their second championship loss kind of in the Coach Heeb era. So great, great run. Give them all the props in the world. They were, a team that might have gotten overlooked a little bit early in the season. They were dealing with some injuries, but what a showing by them. What a way to close the year there in the state finals. And in Class 2, we have another team there. That was Portageville. They played Barstow. It was a helter-skelter game in the semifinals. A lot of turnovers, even for both teams, but Portageville really just kind of made the big plays when they needed to, went on some runs that Barstow couldn't answer. Farmer, Irby, Higginbottom made big plays throughout the postseason run. And then they punched their ticket to the championship, beat Barstow by 9, ran into a buzzsaw there in Tipton. Tipton was unbelievable. I watched pretty much all of that game. The stats that Tipton put up were insane. Well, Tipton won by 30, right? 76-46. I do want to give props to Portageville. Portageville did not lay down. They did not, give up when things were really going against them. The second quarter, it really got away from them there. But, they stayed in it. They started hitting everything. It felt like kind of middle of the third quarter into the fourth quarter. And, a large part of that is thanks to one of those seniors I mentioned that's going out, Taryn Irby. Irby finished with 18. I don't have the breakdown of her specifically quarter by quarter, but goodness gracious, she went absolutely insane there in the kind of third quarter, fourth quarter time period. She was unbelievable. Obviously, I mentioned Glow Farmer. She was in double figures. Elise Hickenbottom finished with 9. So it will be there's going to be some changes, obviously, at the top of the rotation there for Portageville, but great run for them. Shout out to them. They went to the Final Four last year, I believe, for the first time ever. Lost both games this year. Get into the championship game. Huge accomplishment. Shout out to that crew, man. They've been a lot of fun to watch. They took it to a lot of teams here in the Southeast Missouri area. Glow Farmer was a ton of fun. Taryn Irby was a dog. Like I said, she finished, 4 of 6 from 3. I think all of those happened in about a 4-minute span. So a great run by those girls. Shout out to Portageville. Congrats on playing really well, representing the area at a high level. Then in Class 3, St. Vincent, a little up the road, Perryville. They punched their ticket to the semifinals. They rolled all the way there, blowing teams out. Continue that in the semifinal game. They blew out Lone Jack 48-26. Lone Jack had nothing. There was no answers. For St. Vincent, I believe Lana Adams really balled out in that game. She had a ton of threes. And then, it was the Thanos meme, I'm inevitable. They started the year playing Principia. They finished the year playing Principia. So it was what everybody anticipated when the bracket kind of came out and you saw where teams were lined up with each other at, who could be where. You saw Principia on the bottom half of the bracket. You saw St. Vincent on the top half, and you said these two are bound for a collision course with each other. The collision happened, and St. Vincent got run over. 60-32 was the final. There was just no answers. They had no answers for, kind of the pressure that Principia was putting on them. They had 18 turnovers. Principia only turned it over 7 times. Principia shot the ball really well. They hit 11 threes. So when you're turning the ball over against Principia and you're getting easy buckets that way, and then also they're hitting from the outside, you're not going to beat them. They're too good. Logan Love, great point guard, only a sophomore. Deja Scott, great big body forward, so tough to guard. Not a lot of answers for St. Vincent. Shout out to the Rubel twins, former this area natives, Notre Dame players there. They finished in double figures, 11 for Bree, 10 for Kate. Back-to-back state finalist for St. Vincent. A great crew, a big-time talented group of girls there, senior class. They won a state title in volleyball just a few months ago, and it's going to look a lot different there in the near future. You look at this graduating crew, the Rubel twins, Riley Robinson, Elena Cates, Lana Adams. That's a big part of the rotation, right? Those are all big-time players. They bring back some options here and there. Sophie Versman had a pretty good Final Four. She had some shots, did a good job around the bucket, but things are going to change probably significantly at St. Vincent over the next couple of years, but it's a school that's had pretty good success, over the years. They're consistently a solid team, so we'll see what happens, right? But I would say maybe the Final Four would be a little bit of an unrealistic expectation, but you never know. We'll see what happens. That's 1, 2, 3 state finals. We have a team that a lot of people in this area, a lot of our Cape Jackson area teams have played. That is Donovan, the reigning state champs in Class 4, showing why so far. They blow out Potosi, beat them by 20. Carson Haygood, reigning player of the year, had 27 of her own. She was only outscored by the entire Potosi team by 10. And in the quarterfinals, they played essentially a road game. They took a bus ride for 12 hours up to Sullivan and played St. Francis Borgia, that is like 30 minutes from Sullivan. Fell behind early. I think probably a lot of that due to, hey, we just sat on a bus for literally like 2.5, 3 hours. And so they got behind a little bit early, but Carson Haygood, the Monaghan girl inside, and company, Ellie White out on the perimeter. I mean, they do what they do. They sat down, they guarded, they held St. Francis Borgia to 45 in the game, won the ball game 55-45. Carson Haygood, 22 points, showing why she is the reigning player of the year in Class 4. And maybe a couple wins away from being the back-to-back player of the year and maybe the back-to-back-to-back player of the year next season. So we shall see. Best of luck to Donovan. I'll talk about their rest of their route here to close out the season. But the big one I want to talk about, a game that I was actually in attendance for, Jackson went up to St. Louis, beat Marquette 50-45 in the Class 6 quarterfinal. Super fun game. Early on, it kind of felt like it was about to maybe be a Jackson rout early on. Kate Deck, out of her mind, dude. Unconscious, in fuego, whatever you want to say. She had 15 points in the first quarter. She was just hitting everything, floaters, catch and shoot threes, off the dribble, off the screen, defender gets stuck or goes under, pull up three. She was hitting everything. I really thought we might have been trending toward a blowout, but give it to Marquette, man. They clawed all the way back. They held Kate scoreless the entire second quarter. She finishes the game, though, with 23 to lead the way. I mean, nearly half of the team's points, over half of Marquette's points. So she finished with 23. I think Lauren Dory was second on the team with 9 points. She had a heck of a matchup. So inside, Marquette, they're led by a girl named, Marianne Kenyon. She's 6'1". They had two more girls just about the same height, somewhere in the 6 foot plus range. They had a ton of length. All three of those girls started together. So they had a huge starting lineup. The Kenyon girl, super skilled. A lot of D1 offers. She plays on the perimeter. She's a guard. They got a girl who I don't know this. I've made this up in my mind that she is. Bailey Owens, her name. Just apparently the greenest light in St. Louis County. She took some of the deepest threes I have seen in a very long time in that ball game. I think she might be Brody Owen's sister is my guess. I'm just making that up. I don't know. Brody Owen, for those who don't know, best player on the Marquette boys team. Just transitive property of B. Owen. I don't know. Could be wrong. Which would make sense, though, because that kid also ultimate green light, big-time bucket getter. But anyway, Jackson had a tough test. Marquette, they started throwing the kitchen sink at Jackson, right? Kate's killing them early. So you got to do anything you can to stop her. They double team her. Basically, as soon as she crosses half court, they're running two bodies at her. Anytime she has the ball in her hands, they double team her. And so she, gave it up to her teammates and said, hey, somebody's got to make a play. And they did. It was very similar to the Jorge Zoo game, to where there was no, complimentary 15-point score or something like that. But it was a bucket here by a bucket here by Bryn Banderman, a bucket here by Adeline Abernathy, a couple of buckets here by Lauren Dory, by Addison Henderson, whoever it was. Different people just stepped up, hit shots. Jackson got in a little bit of foul trouble. That was another reason maybe why Marquette got back in the game. Jackson put them on the line a lot. There was some fair criticism of maybe how aggressive each team was allowed to play defense. But Lily Watkins, shout out again, as always. I mean, the girl torments people's best players all over the court. She got the assignment of guarding Marianne Kenyon, who's taller by several inches, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches. Not that short, Lily. My bad. But she got that assignment. She chased her all over the court, didn't let her get any good looks, especially early in the game, but did cause her to pick up some fouls, kind of open things up for Kenyon a little bit later in the game. But overall, unbelievable just atmosphere. That's a big thing I wanted to talk about the game. I mean, it was a road game, right? Marquette is over in Chesterfield, I believe. So the game was, South St. Louis. It was at Fox High School there in Arnold, but I mean, they had a 30-minute drive. Jackson had an hour and a half drive, right? But shout out to the Jackson fans, man. Shout out to all the parents of the girls players. Obviously, I know you guys are there every game. You have a lot to cheer for because the team your kid plays on is unbelievable. But so many people showed up. I mean, there were students, a lot of administrators. I made the joke that every administrator just decided, hey, we're going to take advantage of the fact that we can maybe get in this game for free. I mean, there was a ton of teachers and staff, and there was just fans. I mean, myself, I was there. Me and my wife went. We went up. So much fun. Cody Hinkabine, who I call Jackson Boys Game with, him and his wife and kids were all at the game. So, I mean, just an incredible atmosphere. Jackson fans outnumbered Marquette fans significantly. It was probably 5-1 at least. I mean, the entire gym, it didn't help that Fox is also red and black, but the entire gym looked red and black out there. So it was a very, very big Jackson contingent. Jackson fans, you were loud, you were impactful, fun environment. I know it's hard to a lot of games because there's a lot of games for this girls team. They're beating people 83-7, but you guys really showed out, and I'm really, really impressed, really, really proud. And, yeah, the girls played well. It got a little hairy down the stretch. Marquette cut it to a 1-point game, I believe, at one point. Late in the game, shout out Bryn Banderman, freshman off the bench, kind of playing because Lily Watkins and Jayla Smith were dealing with a lot of foul trouble. Hit a couple of big buckets, got out in transition, hit a runner at one point in time, stepped up, made huge plays. You know, maybe there's games where she just is not a scoring option a lot of times, right? She's going to finish some games. You know, you play next to Decks and Dories and Hendersons. Sometimes you're just not going to put up big numbers. This game, her number was called. She needed to step up, needed to hit shots, needed to make plays defensively, and she answered the call. So shout out to Bryn Banderman. Shout out to, Kate Deck. Kate Deck made, I believe, the game-winning play pretty much. I mentioned it. Marquette was looking to get a shot to take a lead late in the game. Kate got her hand on the ball, got a steal. And even then late in the ball game as well, she was just getting pressured all the way down the floor, split a double team or just went around a double team, hit a floater to put Jackson back up, and then Addison Henderson stepped up, made the big free throws there at the end of the ball game. Always tough to do. Free throws when the entire gym is on pins and needles, and it's like, hey, if I miss these, the other team has a shot to send it to overtime. If I make these, it's over. So it's a big swing there, and she stepped up, handled the pressure. So shout out to her. And, yeah, this team was so much fun. They punched a ticket to the Final Four for the first time since 2003. I was very alive. Nobody on the basketball team was alive. That's depressing when you think about it, but they were super not alive. Many of their parents probably didn't even know each other. I don't know. Whatever. It's an existential crisis I'm having on camera right now. So big shout out to the girls, man. 50-45. Shout out to Coach Fulton, Coach Boone, Coach Martin, everybody involved. Great, great night of basketball. And then all of Jackson converged on Raising Cane's and Cyberg. So it's a great time. So coming up, a lot of basketball still left. I'm going to mention some of it here briefly. Start back on the boys' side. You've got Class 4. Once again, these schools not an area. I'm not going to act like I even know a lot about many of them, but you got Clayton and Benton playing in one semifinal. You've got Vashon and Logan Rogersville. Now that is on the 20th. Noon tip-off scheduled for that ball game. So what is that? The 20th is Friday. That's an inconvenient time to watch basketball, I know. If you feel like if you're going to purchase the Misha broadcast to watch the Jackson girls, whenever you do that for the Final Four, they put all the, or the Sykeston game, whatever it might be, you pay for the Final Four. So you get to watch all the boys and all the girls games in the Final Four. If you buy it, I would implore you to tune in noon on Friday to watch Vashon and Logan Rogersville. Those are two of the best teams in the entire state, regardless of classification, and probably the two best teams in Class 4. That's going to be the de facto state championship game. In Class 5, that is where Sykeston kind of the lone boy representative in Class 4, 5, and 6 from Southeast Missouri. They're taking on Raytown South. That game's at 6 p.m. on Friday. I think it's winnable. A little bit I can find about Raytown South doesn't blow me away. The Kansas City area is super tough. They play a tough schedule. It's night in and night out, just unbelievable athletes all over every high school up there, and that part of the state is just a next level region for all sports. But basketball, they just got a ton of dudes. But I don't know. This Sykeston team feels capable of running by this Raytown South team. The other semifinal is MICDS and Hillcrest. MICDS has been a consistently very good team all year. Hillcrest has a couple of dudes, though, that are pretty good players. One kid, Kyrie Simpson, I like a lot. They've got some talent. Shout out to Hornets over there in Springfield. Should be a good one. Sykes and MICDS wouldn't surprise me to see in the championship game. It's kind of my prediction, but we shall see. Up in Class 6, same thing. We don't have a team here. It's Cardinal Ritter, Blue Springs South, St. Louis versus Kansas City, and another St. Louis, Kansas City, DeSmet and Rockhurst. Look, I know nobody around here maybe has a big attachment to either of those games. I would encourage you to watch them if you can. Those are going to be some high-level basketball games. All right, those are going to be kind of middle of the afternoon on Friday, I know, but that's 2 and 4 o'clock. It's going to be some high-level basketball. Cardinal Ritter's been there a lot. Blue Springs South won a title with Mizzou legend Kevin Puryear. DeSmet's been there a lot. Rockhurst has been there a lot. Rockhurst beat DeSmet the last time I think those teams faced each other at all in the state title game in 2013. So I would tell you to tune in just for fun. Then over in girls basketball, we do have a local rep there in Class 4, obviously the Doniphan girls. They get the ugly draw of being at 10 a.m. 10 a.m., yes, on a Wednesday, 3/18. That is a Wednesday at 10 a.m. Doniphan takes on Benton. It's going to be a tough game. Benton's pretty solid. They're looking for revenge, right? This is a rematch of last year's state title game in Class 4. Doniphan going to be the hunted here, so they got to bring their A game. Benton is going to come looking for revenge, and I think it's going to be a good game. I'm rooting for Doniphan. I think they have the ability to get through that. The other side of the bracket is tough, all right? You got Cardinal Ritter and Stratford. Stratford and Cardinal Ritter, juggernauts, both of them college basketball players, several of them on both sides. Stratford, a public school, kind of south central area. They're a girls basketball powerhouse. Cardinal Ritter, they import and export great athletes, so they acquire talent at a high level. We'll say that. Class 5, no attachment there. Live for Life in Grandview, St. Louis versus Kansas City schools. And then MICDS, if you want to see a good player, they got Jordan Haywood on their team, the best player in the class of 2028, except when she plays Jackson or whenever she ducks Jackson. It's a joke. They're playing Marshfield from Southwest Missouri. So it should be good matchups there. Marshfield, a historical power. MICDS has the best player in the state. Live for Life is unbelievably loaded. I would like to see a Live for Life and MICDS championship game. I don't know anything about Grandview. They're from Kansas City. Don't know anything about them. And then Class 6, you got Jackson girls taking on Staley. If you're a Jackson fan and you've been a Jackson fan for several years, Staley might give you, the Vietnam War flashback memes there of the boys going to the Final Four playing Staley in the semifinals, getting massacred because Staley had an entire college basketball team. Well, Staley's girls basketball team is about equally talented. So, looking at their scouting report, what do you got? You got 2 senior guards, Ava Miles, 6-foot guard. He's a number 72. This is all according to 247 Sports, who I use. Number 72 player in the country. She is committed to Nebraska. Guard London Parker. 5'9" guard, number 91 player in the country, committed to Arizona State. She's a lefty. Destiny Maniau. That might ring a bell for some college fans or Jackson fans that saw the Staley boys game. Her brother, Cameron Maniau, is the starting forward center for Iowa currently. He was on the Staley team that beat the Jackson boys in the semifinals. He's like a 6'9" freak of nature athlete. Well, she's a 6'3" forward as well. Crazy athlete, gets up and down the floor super well, can score around the rim. Obviously, she's very tall. She's the number 35 player in the junior class. So, got another year of her next year. She's got 40-plus offers. She could end up anywhere in the country. So, she's going to be one of the best players coming out of high school next year. Also, another guard, they have 5'10" guard, Brielle Mays, a ton of mid-major offers. You know, maybe the SLUs, the Murray States, teams like that here, Middle America. Another lefty on the team. And then finally, the best name on the team, Reminisce Grant. That is Reminnyss, Reminisce. That's how I'm pronouncing it, at least. 5'6", but, you know, dynamite guard, can shoot it. This is a very, very, very talented team. This is a team that played in a state title game a year ago. They lost to Incarnate Word. And a lot of people, I would say going into the year period, coming into the playoffs, whatever, they have penciled in Staley and Incarnate Word to be in the championship game against each other. So Jackson girls, you have an opportunity to be a spoiler here. Look, it's not going to be easy. If you tell me, I mean, almost no outcome would surprise me because I believe in this Jackson girls team so much, okay? Am I saying they're going to win? Not necessarily. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take the best game of the season. Okay, this team is better than any team they've faced. They're bigger. They're more athletic. It is going to take a perfect effort a lot of times, all right? They're going to have to guard unbelievably hard. I mean, you're going to have a size disadvantage at a lot of spots. Lauren Dory's going to have to play out of her mind. She's going to have to be a beast inside. She's going to have to defend at a super high level, rebound at a very high level. Jackson's going to have to take care of the basketball. They struggled a little bit there at the very end of the game against Marquette. Marquette was desperate. They started to apply a ton of pressure. Jackson kind of got caught up, sped up there in the moment, turn it over. Jackson's going to have to take care of it at a very high level because Staley's going to look to turn you over. And if you turn the ball over, if you give them any run out, even after a made basket, missed basket, whatever it is, they are going to look to get the ball down the court and shoot a layup in about 3 seconds, okay? I mean, Ava Miles is unbelievable, strong guard, gets downhill. And then, you know, Destiny Manuel, 6'3", can run by guards all day. Phenomenal athlete. This Jackson team's going to have to play great. They're going to have to play so great. And they have great in them. All right, they play next level defense. So I mean, Jackson has length. You've got, like I mentioned, Lauren Dory, very good size. Addison Henderson is good size on the wing. She's going to match up. I'm curious to see who she matches up against. I'm curious to see what Jackson kind of does because Lily Watkins is kind of that defensive stopper for the team. It wouldn't shock me to see her maybe be on London Parker there at the guard spot. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, there's so many good players. Parker, Mays, Miles, all these guards out there are unbelievably talented. You know, the Abernathys are probably going to have to come in big here in this ball game just because of their length and athleticism. You're going to need it. You're going to need a lot of length, a lot of athleticism in this ball game. People are going to have to hit shots. People are going to have to step up and hit shots when their number is called. And let's be honest, you know, Kate Deck is an unbelievable player. If she's able to bring an effort like she had against Marquette, it might be enough to help Jackson stay in this game. But Jackson's going to have to play a really good game. You know, I'm not going to make any, not going to shy away from the fact that this Staley team is unbelievable. They are so good. And, hey, this is what it's all about. You're in Class 6. You're not going to face any bad teams, right? Look what Jackson's seen this year. They've played really, really good squads all year. Principia. They played a Donovan. They played St. Vincent. They've faced Francis Howell. They beat Correzu. They've beat Correzu twice. They beat Correzu at Correzu in the district title to break their streak of district championships. I mean, they're battle-tested. These girls are battle-tested. They've been there. Regardless, they are going to step up, I believe, and make this a very, very good basketball game. I'm super optimistic. You know, Staley is going to be a huge test, but I'm very positive and I'm hopeful. to see how this game goes. I will be locked in at 2 p.m. So 2 p.m. Wednesday. So stupid. 2 p.m. Wednesday. What a dumb time to play a basketball game. 2 p.m. Wednesday, Jackson will be playing Staley there at Mizzou. Oh, man, I would love to be there. But the other side of the bracket, it will be Incarnate Word, team who's won, I believe, 8 consecutive state titles, taking on Lee Summit West. Lee Summit West is a very good basketball team. They're very talented. They have some very high-end talent. I watched them a month or two ago play Notre Dame over at Nixa. I mean, they swallowed Notre Dame alive. Notre Dame didn't score for like a quarter and a half or something like that. They are so talented as well, super athletic. The Staley team beat Lee Summit West. I mentioned last year Incarnate Word beat Staley by about 14 or so in the state title game there in Class 6. Incarnate Word is Incarnate Word. All right, look, they're probably going to win a state title. And like I said, a lot of people are rooting for a Staley Incarnate Word championship game because they think that's the best chance anybody has to compete with Incarnate Word. So, hey, Jackson girls, go play with a chip on your shoulder. Go know you're the underdog, and you've got nothing to lose here. Go leave it all on the court and let the chips fall where they may. If Jackson does win, they'll be playing the 19th. That is Thursday at 6 p.m. If Jackson loses to Staley, they'll be going to the third place game, playing the loser of Incarnate Word, Lee Summit West, Thursday at noon. So another early tip-off there at noon if Jackson does come up short. Either way, unbelievable run, man. Back to the Final Four for the first time in 23 years. It's been a long time. I've watched a lot of good Jackson teams get beat there in the quarterfinals or, face some tough team. That's maybe a private school, St. Joe's back in the day, or Eureka, somebody like that, in the quarterfinals and not make it through. And so there's been a lot of good teams fall short, but this Jackson team, very, very special, man. It's been so much fun to watch. Season's not over. I'm not eulogizing or anything yet, but, I mean, top 10 in their rotation, 7 of the top 10 are freshmen or sophomores. Great senior duo there for them as well. So they've been a ton of fun. I'm really excited to watch this ball game, and best of luck. Go get a win. Go shock the world. Go take it to all the D1 basketball players, all right? Go show them why you're here. Show them why you belong. So that will wrap up all my basketball here. I will now, like I said earlier, turn the page, kind of look at what we have coming up the back part of this week. Friday, Saturday predominantly is where things are going to start coming into play here for spring sports. You click on sports and activities under a school, and it takes you to the spring tab automatically now. We're not all the way done with basketball, but a lot of people are done with basketball. So we will start creeping into spring. I'll do, I just recorded a little behind the scenes here. I recorded a show with Coach Brownsberger, recap Jackson boys basketball season. Love talking to Coach Brownsberger. Always a lot of fun. Meeting up with him is going to be super long, so put your seatbelt on for that. And then I'll get into spring. I might even do another wrap-up basketball with all the teams kind of in the area. Kind of just go over what we did and what we missed. And then trying to turn the page here to spring, really kind of dive in, give you some previews, if you will, of what to expect out of a lot of the big teams here. We'll start with baseball. I'll go across the board here, one school at a time. I'll start with Jackson. Jackson baseball this weekend, Friday and Saturday. They're going to be up in St. Charles West in a tournament. It's not really a tournament because the game's already pre-decided here, but whatever you want to call it. Jackson will be playing Fort Zumwalt North, so a Class 6 school. Battle's another, I believe, Class 6 school. Let me see what they were last year. Yeah, they were a Class 6 school a season ago, and then Parkway Central. So a couple of good tests here to start the season for the Indians. Jackson loses a little bit from last year. I've shared a few videos over on Twitter. Peyton Kite has been hitting moonshots so far in his college debut seasons, and guys like him, several others have moved on from last year's team. So Jackson brings back a pretty healthy group, though. You got Drew Parsons committed to SEMO, Adler Flynn. There's a lot of guys with a lot of varsity experience, and I'm interested to see how they pan out here. They got to host a playoff series last year. That was a cool experience. Unfortunately, came up short, but they do start this weekend 3-game series up north at St. Charles West. Now looking over at Notre Dame, I don't have actual games on who they're playing, but they'll be taking in the North County tournament. So that will be Friday and Saturday as well. Notre Dame going up there to North County, trying to get a little bit of a test. See if they played up there. They did play up there last year. They took on West County, Kingston, and North County last year. Had 2 wins and a tie up there during that. So good opportunity to get some early season victories there. They lose a little bit as well. They bring back a pretty solid group of seniors, Bolin, Lawson, company. They have a new coaching staff there. Coach Bolin, Christian Cavanis kind of leading the way. Caden Kendall, former Jackson pitcher there on the staff as well. Cape Central actually getting started a little bit earlier than everybody else. The 19th, so Thursday, games will be at Cape Central. They take on St. Pius and Charleston. So a good little start to the year. Those games are at 4 and 6:30 p.m. Cape Central, another group under new management, right? It's first year back in charge for Coach Steve Williams. Obviously, Coach Steve Williams has been at Cape Central in the past for a long, long time. But he's now come back from Fredericktown after Coach Palmer went one and done there at Cape Central, brought in former Cape Central star Tally Haynes in to coach as well. So interested to see what Cape Central looks like. They're a team that has had a decent amount of turnover, but they also have some upperclassmen that I'm pretty high on. Some guys that had a lot of plate time last year, and some decently big names. Jathan Spain, Chapman Ogles obviously have been around forever, playing at a high level. Christian McNews, Aid Hickey, Caden Chenoweth, Hayden Bowers, a lot of guys there in that senior class that got a big opportunity last year and going to try and capitalize and build on what they had last year. They were a pretty solid team last year, so we'll see where they can go this one. Saxony, they get started up at Fredericktown on the 20th. They'll be playing up there at Fredericktown at 4:30 p.m. So best of luck to all our local baseball teams. Now jump into what's the next activity. We'll talk about boys golf. Boys golf does not get started this weekend for Jackson, and let's see who is all there. Jackson is participating in Notre Dame Invitational. So is Cape Central, and so is Saxony. So everybody's first tee-off event will be the Notre Dame Invitational. That is scheduled. I don't have a time, but that is scheduled for this next Monday. So it'll probably be over with by the time you see the next episode of the podcast. So might as well highlight that here now while we have got it. We've also got here in the spring, it is girls soccer season. All of our local teams obviously participate in girls soccer. Some local soccer teams that have pretty decent tradition. Saxony in the past has had great teams. Jackson has had great teams. Notre Dame has had great teams. Cape Central has some very, very good rosters, some great teams as well. The Tigers and the Indians do get started off facing each other. That game will be at Cape, 5:30 on the 20th, so Friday. We get started, man, right away with a crosstown rivalry. Cape, Jackson at Cape, 5:30 p.m. should be a big one. Notre Dame has a little while. They don't play until the 26th, so we'll talk about that later on. We'll get there when we get there. And then Saxony will be hosting Farmington on the 20th. That game is at 4 p.m. So get out there, go check out some local girls soccer. Like I said, I think we're going to have some pretty solid units this year. Interested to see what Notre Dame can do. They bring back a pretty good group there in the senior class. Lola Wunderlich, Maya Tebow, Mia Panton, Aiden O'Daniel. So some pretty talented girls going to be playing there for the Bulldogs, especially, like I said, leading the way in that senior group, but they should be a fun season. I'm excited for what girls soccer holds. Obviously, Jackson brings back quite a bit, some multi-sport athletes there. Maddie Stelling, Ashlyn Dawes, we saw a lot of. And in softball, Madeline Clun, Emma Larson, Josie Sauerbrunn as well. So there's going to be some very good girls soccer going on. The other thing I want to talk about, one of my favorite sports always, is track and field. Big track and field fan, man. I don't know why. I just enjoy it so much. I didn't love running when I was in high school. I was on the track team as well, but there's something that was always just so fun about the atmosphere there, track meets, things like that. I really enjoyed. So, not to mention, we have a few very talented runners. Like I said, I'll get deeper in the weeds maybe in the next episode you guys see, but we do get track kicked off here this weekend, Saturday at Notre Dame, the Frozen Invitational, usually what they call it, Notre Dame Invite. It's usually very cold. You know, we're at time of recording. This is peek behind the curtain here. It's Monday. Had to think about that. It's currently 29 degrees outside while I'm recording, so temperature this time of year can be a little wonky. I understand that, but if you want to see any track and field this year, this might be your best opportunity. 81 degrees right now is listed as a high. Looking at it right now, 81 is the high. That's going to get started early. It's usually about a 9:30 a.m. first starting guns, so get there early. Bring a lawn chair, maybe bring a blanket early on, but be able to put on some cool clothes because it's going to get pretty warm out there in the sunshine over at Notre Dame. I don't know who's all going to be running things like that. I might look into it a little bit ahead of time, hit up some of the teams, but you know, I'm a big fan of some of the guys and girls we got here. There's a lot of guys and girls who made big runs to state that are back this year. You know, Cape Central has Sheridan and Husky. You've got Taraji Riley also over there, can flat out run, was a freshman this past year. Aiden Morris over at Notre Dame, Jackson Jones, Martina Ressel, Lily Coy there. For Jackson, I think you've got all three Reagan brothers on the track team this year. Don't quote me. I mean, you have a great group of sprinters that are familiar from football. Maddox, Memphis Maddox, Jalen Hampton. They've Evan Turley. They got some dudes over there, but you know, you have a Bryson Wessel. You got Amelia Fox over on the girls' side. Brooklyn Williams. So there's a lot. I'm not trying to get into it right now off the top of the dome. Don't want to miss out on too many people, but it's going to be an exciting year track and field in Southeast Missouri. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but there's some really, really special athletes that I would make an opportunity to go see if you have the availability on a weekend. And this weekend coming up, great time to start. Boys tennis, we got going on here in the spring. Notre Dame will be playing this Friday. They host North County. Jackson does not get started. They will also be playing at North County, but not until Monday the 23rd. And then Cape will get started Monday. They will be hosting Notre Dame. So you get an early rivalry matchup there. Notre Dame going to Cape Monday at 4 p.m. That North County game at Notre Dame will also be at 4 p.m. as well. And I believe the last thing to talk about is a sport that not everybody has, but Notre Dame and Saxony do in particular. That is boys volleyball. Maybe a sport not many people have watched around this area. And, you know, most of us growing up, there was no boys volleyball. When I graduated a little over a decade ago, it was a figment of the imagination. But now, Saxony and Notre Dame both have boys volleyball, and now maybe some bad blood, because last year, if you remember, it's been a while back, Class 1, District 1 tournament, Saxony pulled off what, you know, is largely considered a big upset there over Notre Dame, beat them in 5 sets, 3-2. They broke a pretty good losing streak. They lost, 3 straight matches before that one to Notre Dame. So it's gonna be a good year, I think, in boys volleyball. They've got some exciting athletes on both sides. I'm optimistic that both teams can be pretty good. Probably going to be meeting there in the district tournament again. And it's going to be a battle. Jonathan Palmer, shout out to him. I saw he committed to play at the next level not too long ago. So that's really, really cool to see people from this area, boys from this area, getting the opportunity to play college volleyball now is really, really cool. Some familiar names over on the Notre Dame side. I haven't watched them play as much, but several multi-sport athletes I'm excited to see. Dylan Rubel, a 6'6" basketball player on the roster. Look out. You can't teach height, and that kid's got a lot of it. So I'm excited. We're right around the corner. Spring sports, like I said, is starting. It's a great crossover time period for me. I enjoy all these spring sports a lot, getting outside, seeing what kids can do. Obviously, it's always a fun environment. We just get to hang out on a Saturday or whatever. And then obviously basketball postseason. We're right here. Best of luck to the Jackson girls. Best of luck to everybody else still in it. Southeast Missouri, Sykes and boys, Donovan girls. So go get it done. And best of luck to all the spring athletes. Go out there, get the season started. Let's stay healthy. Let's have a great spring season. And put on a show for everybody. So everybody listening, watching, thank you as always. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. I appreciate it. Always appreciate y'all meeting me in person. I'm gonna preliminarily say I'll be at the track meet over at Notre Dame this Saturday. It is admittedly like 5 minutes from my house, so it's possible. We'll see what happens. A lot of it is pending the attitude of a 2-year-old, so gotta do what you gotta do. So, but yeah, as always, thank you guys. Hope to see a lot of y'all out here watching spring sports. I implore you to go check it out. Go support the kids that put in all the hard work and time, and all the coaches that put in a lot of hard work and time getting them ready to compete as well. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We will see you in the next one, everybody. Take it easy.